We can believe that. That never fades. Merry Christmas sermon. I didn't come to be disappointed and brought down and all of this and that. And I understand. I didn't come for that neither. But this message is for someone. Because this message speaks about hopelessness in a hopeful season. It don't make sense to me. If you notice the Facebook post, the little emoji, he was wondering, and I'm wondering. Hopelessness in a hopeful season doesn't make sense to me. Hopelessness in a season that is meant to only have hope. But sometimes it happens. It may not have happened to you this season, but maybe it's happened in another. No matter, I'm the first to tell you to hold on to your joy, hold on to your peace. Don't let someone get it. But no matter, sometimes, no matter how hard you hold on to it, or hold on to the hope of joy and peace and the hope of this season, sometimes it gets away from you. Because when there's no hope, there is no joy, and there is no peace. And I know the great thing of this season. I know God sent the hope to the hopeless. And I am so hopeless. Even the best of us, in the best of seasons, can struggle to hold on to our hope and our joy and our peace. But even if you lose that hope or that joy for just a day, if you lose hope, joy and peace goes with it, that day is rough. I don't know about you, but it is for me. There was a story, I'm sure, a farmer's mule who fell down the well, right? The farmer tried everything he could think of to pull that mule out of the well. But it reached that point, it came to a point where it seemed hopeless. No chance. It was hopeless. It was something that happened to that old farmer that I'm sure he never saw coming, never anticipated. But there it was. And he had to deal with it. And this may not be your message today, but it may be your message one day. Season to have hope, and here I am. It's ripped away. And you know something? When that happens, it normally influences your future hope. Because to me, in that moment, in that day or 2 days or however long it was or however long yours is, you feel helpless and hopeless. And as far as you could see, as far as I could see, it wasn't getting any better. Maybe, just maybe, you've had a situation of this. Not this year, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but one day, maybe. Or maybe right now, you could be almost like me and have that hopeless feeling. Even though you're sitting in church in a hopeful season, you could feel hopeless. Romans 15. I want to read verse 12 and 13. It says, and again, Isaiah says, there shall be a root of Jesse, and he who shall rise to reign over the Gentiles. In him the Gentiles shall hope. Now may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. The God of hope sent hope. So in this God's never ending hope, we believe. We believe that we can have peace and joy that never fades. We can believe that. We can believe that we can abound in hope, which is abounding in God, because God is hope. But what happens when I lose it? How do I lose it? I know these things. I know He's hope. I know He's the God of hope. And I know without Him, there's no hope that exists except false hope. What happens? What happens to me? Listen, there was a town, you've probably heard this story, but there was a town who needed rain very bad. Hadn't had rain in a while. And it began to affect the town as a whole. Crops weren't growing. The drought conditions, people were on strict restrictions. The drought was at an all-time high. And everyone began, this small town, so everybody gathered to pray. And they go to the church and they want to pray because this situation began to seem hopeless in their eyes. So everybody gathers inside the church, and this little young girl sits down on the front pew. And everybody comes, so the preacher walks up, and that little girl catches the preacher's eye. Because that little girl sitting on the front pew, the only one with an umbrella. She believed that the God of hope, she had hope in God that He would send rain. The girl on that pew had hope in a hopeless situation. And I asked myself, how? How could she stand so firm? How could she have such belief? How could she bring an umbrella and hope such as that? How does she do that? Because I want to know. Because I don't like giving away my joy and peace in my hope. I don't like it. I want to trust like that little girl. I want to be able to just blindly trust like that girl. I want to hope just like that girl. I want to believe just like that girl. I want to have faith like that girl. Even in the most dire situations, I want it. I want my peace to go through it. The peace that passes all understanding, I want it. I want it. I want the joy that goes with it, even in those struggles. And someone says, well, how can you be so happy? I want that. But there's one thing I have realized. That will only come when I realize that my joy and peace does not, nor will it ever come from this world. And a lot of times when you lose your joy and peace, it's because you put it in the world. A lot of times when you lose your hope, it's because you put it in the world. If your joy and peace comes from things of the world, then the world can take them. But if your joy and peace and hope is in God, and it comes from God, the world can't touch it. My hope came in a manger. Did yours? I ask myself, I ask you to ask yourself, is God your strength? Is God your rock and your salvation? Is He your shield? Has He multiple times brought you from enemies' hands, and multiple times has He heard your cry, and multiple times have you been in a storm and He calmed the sea? Hope in God, you'll never be hopeless. God is hope. And I never want to lose Him. And I can tell you, as I went through this, if you will place God at the middle of your life as you did this season going forward. Hope and peace and joy will always be yours. And the statement that God says, if you came in hopeless, you can leave hopeful.